The morning was still dark. Dubai airport glittered like diamonds. Terminals hummed with quiet energy. Flights departed every few minutes. The world never stopped moving. Zara Malik moved through it, like she always had done. Uniform perfectly pressed and fitted. Dark hair pinned back neatly. Red lips calm and professional. She was 24 years old. Born and raised in Dubai. Her father was a driver. Her mother stitched clothes at home. They had very little money. But Zara had one dream. To fly above everything always. To see the world freely. To be more than invisible. She had worked extremely hard. 3 years as air hostess. Emirates Airlines first-class cabin. She had served celebrities and billionaires. Politicians and royals and famous faces. None of them ever noticed her. That was the job though. Smile perfectly and stay invisible. Serve quietly and disappear gracefully. She had mastered it completely. Nobody ever really saw Zara. Flight EK007 to London Heathrow. Departure 5:30 in morning. First class cabin fully booked. Zara moved through pre-flight checks. Pillows, blankets, glasses, everything perfect. Passengers began boarding very slowly. Suits and perfumes and laptops. People who owned the world. Or at least thought they did. Zara smiled at every single one. Then seat 2A walked in. And Zara's clipboard almost fell. He was tall and broad. Dark hair slightly pushed back. Sharp jaw, slight stubble today. Gray eyes that moved slowly. Taking in everything around him quietly. He wore a dark suit. No tie, collar slightly open. He carried nothing except one book. No laptop, no phone out. Just one old worn book. He found his seat calmly. Sat down without looking around. Opened his book immediately after. Did not order champagne immediately. Did not demand anything at all. In 10 years of flying, Zara had never seen that. Rich men always wanted something. Immediately, loudly and impatiently always. This one simply opened his book. She approached his seat carefully. Good morning, sir, welcome aboard. He looked up from his book. Those gray eyes found hers. One quiet second passed between them. Good morning, he said simply. His voice was low and calm. Like distant thunder far away. Water please when you can. Then he returned to his book. Just water, she thought, walking away. Not champagne, not whiskey, not wine. Just water please when you can. When you can, he had said. Like her time actually mattered somehow. She brought his water quickly. He thanked her without looking up. She walked back to galley. Stood there for one moment. Her heart beating slightly oddly. Stop it, Zara, she thought. He is just a passenger. Seat 2A, nothing more ever. You have seen handsome men before. You have served entire football teams. She straightened her jacket firmly. And went back to work. The flight was 7 hours. London bound through early morning clouds. Zara moved through first class. Attending to every single passenger. Professionally, quietly and completely invisibly. But she noticed seat 2A. She could not help noticing. He never called her over. Never pressed the service button once. Never demanded anything from anyone. He read his book slowly. Occasionally looked out the window. At the clouds below them. With an expression she recognized. The look of someone thinking deeply. Someone carrying something heavy inside. Something they had not put down. In a very long time. She knew that look well. She saw it in mirrors sometimes. 4 hours into the flight. Most passengers were sleeping quietly. Cabin lights turned down low. Zara was in the galley. Making tea for herself quietly. She heard footsteps behind her. She turned around very quickly. Seat 2A stood in galley doorway. Slightly apologetic expression on face. Sorry to disturb you, he said. Not at all, sir, please. Could I get more water? Of course, she said immediately. She reached for a bottle. Their hands touched on it. 1 second, 1 heartbeat, 1 breath. He pulled his hand back. She pulled her hand back. Both looked away immediately after. Sorry, he said very quietly. She handed him the bottle. Their eyes met very briefly. Up close his eyes were. Not simply gray, she noticed. They had something deeper inside. Something tired and something careful. Like a man who had learned to trust very slowly, and been hurt doing it, and learned the lesson permanently. "Thank you," he said softly. He turned to walk back, then stopped and turned around. "What are you reading?" he asked, nodding toward her small book. She looked down, surprised completely. She had forgotten it was there, tucked into her apron pocket. A tiny worn paperback always. She read in quiet moments. "Persuasion," she said softly. "Jane Austen." He was quiet for a moment. Then something moved in his eyes. Something warm and very unexpected. "Anne Elliot was always underestimated," he said. Zara blinked with surprise completely. "You have read it?" she asked. "Twice," he said simply quietly. Then walked back to seat. Like it was completely normal. Zara stood in the galley, holding her small Austen paperback. Heart doing something very complicated. Something fast and warm and dangerous. A man who read Persuasion twice. "Stop it," she told herself. Firmly and very completely firmly. "He is seat 2A only. In 4 hours he lands. You will never see him again." But she did see him again. 3 weeks later, same flight. EK007 London bound early morning. Zara was doing pre-boarding checks when she saw the manifest. Seat 2A. Cole, London. She stood very still there. Read the name twice slowly. Then told herself it was coincidence. Dubai London was a busy route. He boarded at 5:20. Dark suit, different one today. Same gray eyes, same calm. He found his seat immediately. Opened a different book today. He looked up when she approached. And something crossed his face. Brief and quickly, controlled immediately. But she caught it clearly. Recognition. And something warmer underneath. "Good morning, sir, welcome back." The words came out professionally. He looked at her quietly. "You remember me?" he said. Not arrogantly, just genuinely surprised. "Seat 2A," she said simply. "Water, no champagne." Jane Austen. A tiny smile touched his mouth. First time she had seen it. It changed his entire face completely. "Ethan," he said, extending hand. "Ethan Cole." She shook it carefully, professionally. "Zara Malik," she said quietly. He nodded once and sat. She walked back to galley, pressed her hand against counter, breathed in very carefully, slowly. His handshake had been warm, firm and brief and real. "Stop it, Zara," she said. Out loud this time, quietly. The other hostess, Maya, looked over. "Talking to yourself again," she smiled. Zara straightened her jacket immediately. 6 hours into the flight. Turbulence hit them without warning. Sharp and sudden and violent. Cabin lurched hard to left. Passengers gasped and grabbed their armrests. Zara was in the aisle. She grabbed the nearest seat back. Held on with both hands. The plane shook and dropped. Her heart jumped to throat. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. Captain requests immediate seatbelt fastening, please." Zara steadied herself and moved, checking on passengers professionally and quickly, making sure everyone was completely safe. She reached the front cabin, moving past row after row. When the plane lurched again, hard and completely without warning, she lost her grip completely. She fell sideways into aisle. A hand caught her immediately, strong and firm and instant. She grabbed it without thinking. The plane steadied after seconds. She looked up very slowly. Ethan Cole was beside her, seatbelt still around his waist. He had reached across the aisle, caught her before she fell completely. "Are you all right?" he asked quietly. His voice was very low, just for her to hear. His hand was still holding her arm, steadying her completely. She could feel his warmth. "I am fine, thank you." Her voice came out strange, slightly breathless, not from turbulence. She straightened and pulled back, professionally and immediately and carefully. He let go slowly, reluctantly. She thought she imagined reluctantly. She was sure she imagined it. She walked back to her position, heart hammering against her ribs. When the flight finally landed, Heathrow, gray and rainy outside, passengers gathered their things slowly, moving toward the exit doors. Zara stood by door smiling. He was last to leave. He always was, she realized. Never rushing, never pushing forward. Always letting everyone else go first. She noticed everything about him. She told herself to stop noticing. He reached the door finally. Stopped in front of her. Looked at her for a moment. That steady, unreadable gray gaze. Something moving carefully behind it. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For the water?" she asked. "For everything," he said simply. Then walked off the plane. Into the gray London morning. Zara stood at the door. Long after he had gone. Watching the empty jet bridge ahead. Her hand pressed against her chest. Her heart absolutely refusing to settle. She flew back to Dubai. Alone in crew rest cabin. Staring at the dark ceiling above. His face behind her eyes. His voice in her ears still. For everything he had said. 2 words. Simple and quiet. Like they meant something more. Like they were meant for her. Like nobody had ever said them. She pressed her eyes shut. He was a passenger only. London-based, probably married, probably unavailable. Probably everything she could not have. Probably everything she should forget. But turbulence and gray eyes and a hand that caught her falling. And a man who read Persuasion twice. And said for everything like a promise. Refused to leave her completely alone. Back in Dubai 3 days later. She checked the next manifest quietly. Told herself she was not looking. Told herself it meant nothing checking. Told herself she was just curious. Flight EK007. 1 week away. She scrolled through first class list. Her finger stopped on one name. Seat 2A. E. Cole. London. Her heart did that thing again. That fast and complicated warm thing. She closed the manifest very quickly. Put her phone face down immediately. Pressed her hands against her cheeks. This is dangerous, Zara Malik. This feeling is extremely dangerous. He boards your flight and leaves. He lands in London and disappears. You serve skies, he owns ground. Different worlds, different lives, different everything. You cannot feel this thing growing. You cannot water something that cannot bloom. You have to stop this completely. You have to be professional always. She told herself very firmly. Very completely and very seriously firmly. Outside Dubai glittered in evening light. Golden glass and endless sky. And 1 week felt very long.